knowing history is a very cool yet terrifying thing. I've uh, I've been watching Alex Jones. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, Alex Jones, he's a nutter." Well, it's funny because before I was a left wing, as far left wing as possible, like everything that the government does should be for us, and everything else like that, including war and everything, should be thrown out the window. Now, I agreed with libertarians on most things, except for the idea that the government shouldn't have anything to do with anything except for, I don't know, very basic things like keeping us together in a society or solving little issues here and there. And I thought, oh yeah, that's completely nuts. And I went through some sort of soul searching in a way where I was questioning and questioning and questioning more things, and even questioning my own emotional standpoint from how the economy should really go. In my mind, the economy was run by capitalism, which uh, derailed into fascism, which I would call this corporatocracy that we have right now in the U.S. And I thought that's as far as it went. I didn't like Obama back then. I didn't like Obama ever since his first year in his first term. After that, I thought he was a fucking sociopath. I really legitimately thought he was a sociopath, and I still do. I still do, but I think he's not the one that's heading everything. And of course, I actually know that he's not the one that's heading everything either. Before, I thought it was like, oh, corporations and stuff like that giving him money, and now he gets into office, and basically some things that people would call crazy anyway before I even started listening to Alex Jones. But this was only because I was opening my eyes and seeing the things that were happening around me. But in reality, the rabbit hole goes much, much, much deeper than you really think it is at first. And that's why my whole entire standpoint on almost everything is question everything. And traditions are meant to be broken, and nothing is sacred. Because you get into this mindset, this mentality, that your entire life follows some sort of pattern. Like you go to your job. I'm working at some company. I'm doing IT stuff. I'm very much into the pattern right now. I go to my job. I get home. Get up for 6 hours and stuff. Do video games, whatever, and then go to sleep and get up and go to my job. And it's not as bad as I expected it to be, and it's fine. I don't believe I'm really free, but that's pretty much the pattern I'll go into and everything else like that, and I'd be fine with it because, I get to do what I like, and I also get to come home and I get to play video games. But the reality is that we are under control, and I made a video years ago saying called No Freedom, where you go to work, go to school, get a job, get a girlfriend, get a relationship, get the husband or a wife, depending, I don't know, if you're gay, get a husband, whatever, and just get married, blah blah blah, have kids, and then die. That's basically how the thing goes. But it actually goes much deeper than that, much deeper than I actually explained before. And seeing everything repeating itself and actually going even further within the United States, it's sort of scaring me. And it's not even in the United States. It's just everywhere. It's everywhere as a global society, because I've come up with the realization that we're all one. We're all equals. Like, just because I'm white and some other guy is black doesn't mean that we're different at all. It doesn't mean that we're different, that I might like history more than that guy over there that likes biology more or anything else like that. I also like biology, but that has nothing to do with anything. What really has to deal with it is that we are both human beings. We are both in a situation where we need to take care of ourselves, but not only ourselves, but each other. Now, before I thought we could take care of each other only through the government, only through, a big brother system, because I thought everyone had this sort of mentality where they were evil. Like, they were evil and they were sociopathic and everyone was sociopathic. But then it came to the realization, I'm not a sociopath. I mean, sure, I do bad things, and I don't think most people are sociopaths in the first place anymore. And that's just how I am as a human being. My thoughts and opinions always change over time, depending on the information that I'm getting and the information that I'm evaluating in my life. A lot of people on the left, but like I was, they look at business and they say, oh, business is a terrible, terrible thing. All they care about is money. Yeah, I mean, that's what a business is. All they care about is money, but that's not true. That's not true. I mean, they're getting their money, but at the same time, they're bettering society in some way, some weird, cryptic manner they do. And it's not just for money, it's not just for power, but it's actually to provide people with better services and everything. I'm going to business, I'm buying a candy bar, and that person's giving me the candy bar. Even though his main objective in mind might not be like, hey, let's give Richard the candy bar so he can eat it. It might be, oh, I want to make money off of it. It might be totally selfish. But at the same time, they're not going to get me a candy bar with rice in it. That would be ridiculous. I wouldn't go to that store. Obviously, I'd be dead in 3 days. And people would know, and people would steer away from that store, and everyone would not go to that store, and that store will fall. Now, I know this might sound naive, but it's really not that naive at all, because that's how society works. It progresses by understanding what is going on, what is right and what is wrong. Like, if you touch a stove and it's hot, you're going to move your hand away from it and your brain's going to say, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to touch that stove again because it's probably hot. It's the scientific method. This is how science works, basically. I mean, if one thing works one time and it works the next time and it works the next time, it's pretty sure that it's going to work in inordinate amount of times afterwards. Just like computer science and these algorithms, where it comes up with, this happens this amount of times and the summation of I to n from n times n plus 1 over n is going to equal this, and always going to equal this, because it's a proof, it's a mathematical proof, and we do that in our own society. But when we come to the realization of that, it clicks, we can be good people. Even if some of us are really selfish, we can be. But the thing is that we're putting the selfish people all the way on top. So these people have the legitimate power to do whatever the fuck they want. They could continuously accumulate more and more power. And what happens? Do they get any better? Do they think, oh, you know what, we can do better for society? It's like what I thought before. Oh yeah, everyone's fucking nuts. No, it's the nuts peoples that are nuts. And you always have a reason why. It's because of power. It's because you're psychotic or something. Something must have happened in your childhood that makes you want to roll over people. You might have a sexual fetish to get off while rolling people. It might be anything. But the thing is that if you put these people in power and just keep them in power, and you keep on having them in power and having them in power, it's going to go exactly like what happened way back when we had feudalism, when we had a when we had a dictatorship, whatever, any country, dictatorship, doesn't matter. So the thing is that we can't have these people in power. We simply can't. And if we are going to have a governmental system, we're going to have to cycle through certain people. And if these people turn out to be bad, turn out to be crazy, yet they're giving you food for every day, stuff, it doesn't matter. Because you know what? They might be doing that for now, they might be friendly, but later on, you know what they're going to do? They're going to put drugs in your food. They're going to put fluoride in your water. It doesn't matter. It sounds nuts. And why does it sound nuts? Because it is nuts. But these people have no minds. They don't care. Well, once you get to that idea, oh, I have this power, you're going to use that power for whatever you want. If you're that type of person. If you're that type of person that likes to manipulate people and likes to manipulate things and get power over everyone, it wouldn't matter what it is, you just like having that power. You feel good. It gives you a high. It gives you that serotonin increase in your head, and you keep feeling good, and you keep taking that drug. Keep puffing it. Keep puffing it. It doesn't matter if it's killing you. It's just like heroin addiction. Heroin makes you feel good. It makes you feel happy, a little bit happy. It doesn't even have to be really, really happy. It's just a little bit happy. You keep chasing the dragon, and you never catch it. Just like these people on top. It's funny, with this whole CIA leak that happened with the NSA, some guy, systems administrator, he releases a bunch of confidential information that the NSA has, and he says, hey, they're doing this. He's not even leaking any document. He's just saying, yeah, they're doing that. Well, and then you have the CIA, the CNN, and everything else like that. They're saying, oh, this guy's crazy. This guy is a bad guy. He should be released and tortured for, I don't know. I don't even watch CNN or any news anymore besides Alex Jones and RT and Max Kaiser and a few other people. But I've just come to the realization that there's no use working in the system. We're gonna have to get out of it one way or the other. I'm not saying anarchy because that's not gonna work. At least I don't think it's gonna work. It might later on. I might be an anarchist. It doesn't matter. But the point is that these people want power, and they want as much power as possible. Now, this NSA thing, it's totally obvious. Oh, of course they're doing that. Of course they're doing that. What do you think a systems administrator does? Not for the NSA, but for a random company. Let's say you're working for a software company, and you have a systems administrator. What does that systems administrator have access to? Everything. He has access to everything. What is he supposed to do with that? He's supposed to manage it so he can make the business work better. But what's the difference between a legitimate business or the government? The legitimate business, they don't care about taking power over people. They just want some money. They want to make money because they want to make money. They want to pay their employees, and they want to grow as a business. That's it. It's a totally selfish, yet not crazy, insane, psychopathic mindset. But when you're talking about the government, you're talking about a random slew of people that already have so much power anyway, so, they're going to use that information to do whatever the hell they want. And that's sort of obvious. If you know anything about computers, if you know anything about computer systems, computer servers, you already know all of this stuff is very easily not only hacked and manipulated, but easily accessible. Once you get that information, you can take all of that information that you have, and you can just put it in a database, and then have your database administrator just say to all the other database people, let's just put this in a database, data mine these people so we know exactly each and every single move that they might make in their future path, and their future blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter. I mean, it sounds crazy, it sounds very hard, but really in reality, after a long, complicated process of mathematical thinking, you can get some sort of mathematical algorithm out of these people. Because these people, just like history, repeat themselves and repeat themselves and repeat themselves. People have a pattern. People have a pattern, nature has a pattern, it's everything, it's the Fibonacci sequence. That's exactly what it is. It's not complete and utter randomness, because that would be quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and even that has a certain pattern to it in a way where we don't see it's a pattern because it's vague, because it's all probability, but it's a pattern of randomness. But this is a pattern of semi-random, pseudo-random gobbledygook. Just like in computer programming, when you have a pseudo-random number generator, it pulls a number out of the computer system in regards to whichever process that you were running before. It has a pattern we might not understand, but it still has a pattern, just like people. And that's why database administrators and data mining can get this. And that's why the U.S. government does this, is because the U.S. government likes power. They just like power. They like being on top. They like it, and they want more and more and more and more, and they won't stop because they'll never catch that dragon. Just like the heroin addicts. Speaking of heroin addicts, it was actually the CIA that was involved in smuggling poppy seed from Afghanistan into the United States, not only to cause more of a war and more hardships with Afghanistan, who also is a part of the CIA ideology, to get this poppy seed over in the United States to propagate a failing drug war. Oh, you got heroin. How'd you get heroin in the first place? We have no poppy plants over here in the United States. And you're thinking that, like, that plant's not native here to the United States. How are we getting heroin over here? Oh, they're smuggling it in? Oh, so there's a bunch of people from the Middle East that are getting poppy seed plants, and they're smuggling it here to the United States in order to make money. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Because, how the hell would they have the means to come over here to the United States? I mean, they're going to have to fucking take a plane or it doesn't matter. Any mode of transportation across the sea, they would already know, oh, you're smuggling poppy seed over in the United States. Yet it's perfectly obvious that they're smuggling it over here. No, it's the CIA, and you know why? Because the CIA doesn't have to worry about that restriction because they are the CIA. That's why. And then you have this whole ideology that we're actually fighting these terrorists, some group that we're against and everything, and how everyone wants to attack the United States government. I mean, not the United States government. Everyone wants to attack the U.S. because the U.S. is evil, or a force for good, and everybody hates the U.S. for some odd reason we don't know, because there's a bunch of terrorists in the Middle East. So you ask him, why did these terrorists want to kill us? You get Joe Scarborough on MSNBC. They hate us because they hate us. They hate us because they hate us. No, they don't. Okay, you're saying that as a mantra. They hate us because they hate us. They hate us because they hate us. Because you don't know why. You just have that little block in your head. You're like, yeah, why? Well, but you keep on saying it because you want to believe the lie. That's everybody wants to believe the lie. Of course you do. It's scary. It doesn't make any sense. These things that I heard from Alex Jones years ago, I'd be like, oh, this guy's fucking nuts. Now I'm like, wow, everything, almost everything this guy says is right. Only about a month ago, I've been saying, about 10% of what he says is right. Now I'm saying maybe about 90% of what he says is right. I don't know anymore. It's completely insane. I mean, going through this whole thing, this whole mentality that the U.S. Government, the U.S. Military is completely good, it's a lie. It's complete bullshit. And with this whole, the thing that blew everything out of the water for me, and I guess for a lot of other people on the web, is the Boston massacre. The one where the 3 people died from a bomb. 3 people. 3. Okay? Got that? 3 people? Now, I understand 3 people dying is terrible, but it's not national news. It is not. It's not, okay? National news is 9/11. I understand that. That would have been international news, and it was. But 3 people on the Boston bombing died, and it's national news. And this whole thing about this one guy, one guy, not 2 people originally. 2 people originally were found guilty. The one person they got already, it was fine. And the one guy was running around, and he went into the adjacent town, Watertown or whatever, Watertown, Massachusetts, and they had the entire city of Boston on lockdown. On lockdown. The entire city, and you have police officers and SWAT team and special forces and the National Drug Administration coming in there trying to ransack people's homes, searching without a search warrant. It's already so much mind-blowing shit. You can't ignore it. Even these people, no, they're trying to protect us. No, you know that. You know that they're not trying to protect you. You're just trying to push it out of your mind because you know it's true, but you're afraid. Just like a lot of other people would be. It is scary, but it's happening. We can fix it, but we can only fix it if everyone is cognizant of the fact and we know that there needs to be a change. But the funny thing about this is that people still defend the government to this day. Even with the whole Obama phone thing, I didn't even think that was true. I thought, that would have been very nice, because back then I was a socialist. I thought it would be very nice to give away people's phones. But at the same time, I was thinking at the back of my mind, why is he doing this? There has to be an alternative motive. I've never thought about this myself before. I would have never thought about this myself. I would have been like, that's very good. No, this time I actually questioned it. And it turns out I was right. He was giving away those phones to wiretap people. And that's exactly what I came up in my mind once I saw these people doing it on the streets. Must be wiretapping. And that's what they were doing. They were not only doing it for Verizon, they're not only doing it through the Obama phone thing, they're doing it through everyone. They're doing it through AT&T, Singular, no, not Singular, AT&T, Verizon, all the major telecommunications and internet service providers. And I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's kind of obvious that this information could be easily leaked and could be easily manipulated any single way. And after knowing about the drone strikes and the kill lists and everything coming out in the blue, it's just obvious. It's a barrage of obvious things. It's obvious. And when people watch, and now when I watch Alex Jones and I watch people call into Alex Jones and say that he's a nutter, I'm thinking, what? You didn't see all of this happening? You didn't see all of this happening before your eyes in the first place? Oh, you think just because it's on Facebook it's safe because it has HTTPS, the secure shell? Yeah, it's safe through the web, it's safe through the internet, the actual wires and the WAN and LAN links and everything else like that, the Wi-Fi that you have, the 802.11, whatever. But after you get to that singular server that hosts all this data, guess what? They're going to take it. They're going to take it, take screenshots, take the data, parse, manipulate, whatever. Put it in the server, in their back room, and they have an entire category of every single thing that was going through Facebook. And you know, a lot of people are thinking, oh yeah, you know, that was Bush. Bush did that Patriot Act thing. And no, he didn't, okay? You understand that this has been going on for much longer than that. 1984. Odd. Coincidence. 1984. Telecommunications Act. This was only with phones. And this was easily manipulated for the switches. You talk on a regular phone. Now, a lot of people don't even have regular phones anymore. A lot of people don't even have landlines, and the only reason why I have that is because I have DSL. But you have a landline, you're talking on the phone, and that is literally electronic signals that are going through your phone line, and you can easily track what they're saying. Listening to the other end, whatever, you're getting that information. And that can be stored. That can be stored, and it probably is stored. And that is all taken over the United States government. The United States government has it. Why do you think ISPs are doing this in the first place? Because ISPs and giant corporations, everything else like that, these huge corporations, not these mom and pop stores, not these small corporations that are sprouted. No, huge, massive corporations that everyone knows about. These people work hand in hand with the government. They're in bed with the government, making babies, making sociopathic babies called laws that they're passing on us, and they're trying to get us to understand, no, the government's good, it doesn't matter, the government's good. No, meanwhile, they're just taking away freedom by freedom, and you just keep on saying, no, they have to do that, it's for their own freedom. When is it going to be to the time where you realize that everything that you knew and loved about the U.S. government and the Army was a lie? This is all a lie. The Army is a facade. The Army is just a bunch of people that are used by the CIA, that are used by the FBI, that are used by the military-industrial complex to kill other people that are used by them too. Oh, guess what? Al-Qaeda, they were on the U.S. side during the First Soviet War. Yeah, that's true. During the First Soviet War, these terrorists were with us. They're using us, the people, everyone, terrorists, us, the military, everything, as pawns in a giant chess game. That's all we are to them. They want to further their agenda. They just keep manipulating us, keep moving us, the chess pieces, and I could even get into that Xbox One. I'm a gamer now, and I realize that's a terrible game system, but it's not only the just make money, but it's to spy on us too, because Microsoft is also working for the U.S. government. Weird, isn't it? But that's just my rant. That's my huge rant. And everything I said, I don't want you to take it word for word or anything else like that. I want you to go out and look it up yourself. I want you to get this information not through Alex Jones. You don't have to get it through him. I'd rather you actually get it from the internet. Because some of the stuff I said, may have came from Alex Jones, but other things I legitimately knew before. Like the CIA getting Poppy and putting him in the U.S. to perpetrate a drug war. I already knew that before. I knew that when I was a socialist. You just gotta look. You just gotta look. History is important. Psychology is important. And sociology and science and everything that you know is important. Not just Monsanto being ahead of the FDA, now everybody knows. No, it goes much, much deeper.